Um, this story is a story that I learned from a master storyteller, my mentor, who's 75 years old. His name is Haj Ahmed Zarghani. He's been teaching us stories. We are 5 apprentices, and each apprentice has a big number of stories thanks to this great master storyteller. So in every Moroccan story, we are supposed to learn a moral lesson, which is mentioned at the end of every story. And that moral lesson is like a proverb. So these days, we only have the proverb. And somehow people forgot about the original stories. So now this is an old story. Please pay attention because you will learn some good moral lessons from it. Once upon a time, there were 3 blind men who were very close friends. And the 3 of them begged in the streets of their small village. The first friend was called Ibrahim, a tall, skinny man who always put on a long jalaba and a large hat made of straw. Do you know what jalaba is, right? It's the long dress with the hoodie, and it's very famous in Morocco. So Ibrahim would always stand in front of the mosque waiting for prayers coming out and going into the mosque, and he would call a sentence with his head bent and his hands stretched. آمني عشيني الهلا بيتو كي بت البارح. آمني عشيني الهلا بيتو كي بت البارح. Do you know the translation to this sentence? Can you make a try? So this sentence translated as, "Oh, help me get food, and God will protect you from what happened to me last night." Oh, help me get food, and God will protect you from what happened to me last night. You got the sentence, right? The second friend was called Mubarak, a short, bold man who was known of being arrogant. He always held a long walking stick in his hand. He would find his way with that walking stick, and sometimes he would hit the children coming behind him and bothering him. So Mubarak would always stand in front of the door to the local market without saying anything, stretching his hand, and people actually felt sorry for him. They knew him, so they gave him money. And the third friend was called Larbi. Larbi always sat in a narrow alley, cross-legged, with his hands stretched. And just like his friends, people would feel sorry for him, and they would give him money. One day, as Ibrahim, the first friend, was standing in front of the mosque, hands stretched, and calling that sentence. Exactly. In Arabic, please. Oh, help me get food, and God will protect you from what happened to me last night. And just a few feet away from Ibrahim stood a thief, listening to that sentence and wondering, what could have happened to that old man the other night? I really want to know why. And because of the thief had a lot of time, because business was not going very well for him, obviously, to watch an old man, so he decided that he would stay there and wait until it's dark and follow Ibrahim to his house. So he waited and waited and waited until it was dark. Ibrahim gathered all of that money, put it in his pocket, and headed to his house. And the thief followed behind him as he walked from street to street, from alley to alley. And when he arrived to his house, he reached for a key and struggled to open the door. When he succeeded in opening the door, the thief snuck inside the house without being noticed. And inside, the thief noticed that it was very big and very nice house, full of nice furniture and big rooms. The thief stood in a dark corner and watched the blind man as he sat in a room and ate his fancy and delicious dinner. And he was watching when he moved to another room and changed his dirty old clothes with new and clean ones. And the thief was there when the blind man moved to another bigger room, which was full of piles of gold and silver. And then the blind man reached for a crown that he has there and put it on his head and rode on a golden statue of a horse. And he started yelling, "I am the king. I am the strongest king. I earned that pile of money when I invaded that village. And I earned that pile of money when I invaded the other village and killed their leader." The thief couldn't believe his eyes. Ibrahim, he's the one that everyone knows, begs in the streets. He can barely earn money to buy his food, and now he has all of those piles of gold and silver. Now I should teach him a lesson. I should take all of his gold and silver and see how he would react. So the thief waited until Ibrahim fell asleep and went to that room, collected all of that gold and silver, and snuck out of the house. And in the morning, when Ibrahim woke up, the first thing he did, he went to that big room and checked on his piles of gold and silver. But they weren't there. He went crazy. He went out to the street, grabbing people and calling them for help. But again, people know Ibrahim as a man who begged in the streets. How could he own gold? He begs in the street and he can barely earn the money to buy clothes and food. So nobody actually helped him. And as he was grabbing people and asking them for help, the second friend, who was named Bark, thank you. Bark was passing by, and then he heard his friend Ibrahim crying. He said, "Ibrahim, is that you? What happened? Why are you crying? My gold, my silver, my golden statue of the horse are gone. You fool! Didn't I always tell you to not keep your money and gold in your house? I knew it was going to be stolen. Look at me. Why do you think I'm holding this long walking stick in my hand? Why do you think I have it with me all the time? Why do you think he has it with him all the time?" That long walking stick was hollow from the inside. And Bark would change all of the money that he earns into gold and put it inside it. And that way, he keeps the walking stick with him all the time. Here it is. Here, it's full of gold. But the thief was smart. He followed Ibrahim to see how he would react about losing his gold and silver. And now he knows about the long walking stick full of gold. So he decides to steal that walking stick. The same way, he went after Bark until he reached to the main gate to the market and waited there until it was dark, and followed him to his house, snuck into the house when he opened it. And again, it was a very big and beautiful house. And the thief thought, so Barak also has a lot of money. So he waited there until he fell asleep. And the thief had a long walking stick, the same size as the one that Barak had. He switched the sticks and went out of the house. In the morning, when Barak woke up, he usually puts the stick behind his back when he's asleep. So he woke up, checked on his stick. It was there, thank God. So he opened it and tried to pour his gold because he noticed it was a little bit lighter. So he poured, and what he found was only sand. He went crazy and he started yelling and crying. He went out to the street, and just as his friend Ibrahim started grabbing people to help him because he couldn't see. But also people knew him. They knew he was a man who begged in the streets. He didn't have any money. As he was crying and yelling for people to help him, the third friend, who was called Larbi, and Larbi means Arab, a man from the Arab world. So Larbi was passing by and he heard him. He heard his voice and asked him, "What is it with you, Barak? Why are you crying?" Larbi, "My long walking stick, which was full of gold, is gone now. Somebody stole it from me, just as they stole Ibrahim's gold and silver." And Larbi started laughing at his friend. "You fool! Didn't I tell you to not keep your money in your walking stick? Now why do you think I'm wearing this long coat made of colored rags? People know me because of my coat. Why do you think I'm always wearing it?" And Barak says, "No, I don't know. Tell me." Do you know why he's wearing it? So, Larbi would always sew the money that he earns into his coat. Doesn't matter what fabric it is, he just sews the money into his coat. And that way, he keeps it with him the whole time. He sleeps with it, he goes out with it, he works with it, anywhere. But the thief was behind them. He was listening to the conversation. And now he knows more. He knows about the coat. So the thief goes back home and spends several nights thinking about it. How am I going to take that coat off the blind man's back? And one day, as Larbi was sitting there, cross-legged, with his hands stretched in that narrow alley, he heard a voice. "Get up! Let's go!" "Who is it? What do you want from me?" said Larbi. "I am an angel, and God sent me to take you to Mecca." "God sent you to take me to Mecca?" And as Muslims, we all long to visit Mecca, if only once in our lives, if we could. So Larbi, as a Muslim, was very happy and very excited that he would visit Mecca. Not the normal way. God sent an angel to take him to Mecca. So he was very happy and excited. The voice said, "Get up on my back and I will take you to Mecca as quickly as I can." So Larbi excitedly hopped on the back of the angel, and the angel hurried, and after a few minutes he dropped him in a crowded place which was full of people, voices here and there, and people going and coming. So Larbi knew he was in Mecca. He was very happy. And the angel said, "Here we are. We are in Mecca." Larbi said, "I didn't expect that it would be this fast." "But what do you expect? I am an angel, so I took you quickly." So Larbi immediately started turning and calling, "لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك." And he started turning and turning while repeating this sentence. Do you know what this sentence is? This is the sentence of worship that the pilgrims repeat while turning around the black stone. As he was turning, Larbi was stopped again, and he said, "What is it? I'm worshiping. Please leave me alone." And the voice that was familiar, the voice of the angel said, "Do you think you can worship God in these dirty old clothes?" "Well, what should I do? These are the only clothes I have." "No, you can't. Here you go." And the angel gave Larbi a white fabric that the pilgrims put on their bodies while they were doing the pilgrimage. Larbi was very excited, so he immediately took off his coat, which he forgot was full of money, and gave it to the angel and said, "Hold this for me, please." And he put on that white fabric on his body and started turning again, repeating, "لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك." And people started looking at Larbi and wondering what he was doing. And some other people started stopping him and asking him why he was doing that. But he pushed all of them away and said, "Get away from me. I'm worshiping God. You were not supposed to be speaking." But one of the people said, "Worshiping God? We're on a market, and you're turning around the shop like a fool. Where do you think you are, in Mecca?" "I am in a market." He wondered, "I am in a market." And then he stopped to listen, and he was listening to the music behind him. And he again started listening, and there were only people calling for the prices for their merchandise. Okay. And he started yelling and calling people to help him. Now he realizes he was robbed, and probably by the same thief who took his friend's money. But people again, they knew him. What is it with these three people? They're just people who beg in the streets. Why would they claim that they have a lot of money, which was stolen? And days passed by, and the three friends kept meeting and complaining to each other about their money getting stolen. And one day, the king heard about this. Because the king was a fair person, he wanted to know what was happening. So he called upon the three blind men, and he asked them. And they confessed to everything, that they had a lot of money, but yet they went out to the street and begged for more. The king didn't know what to do with them, but he had his spokesman announce that if the thief who stole the three blind men's money came to the palace and confessed, he shall not be punished. But would you come to the palace if you were a thief and who has a lot of money and gold? Well, days passed by and no one came, until people started forgetting that that even happened. But one day, a young man stood in front of the main gate of the palace and confessed that he was the one who stole the gold and silver and money inside the coat. The king had him in immediately, and the young man said that he wasn't doing it for money. He was doing it to teach the three blind men a moral lesson because they were rich, very rich, but yet they went and begged on the streets. The king decided that the thief would give the three blind men their money back and decided to offer him a job that's exactly the opposite of what he did. He was the man who protected the city from thieves and from people who begged in the streets. And I hope you understand the moral lessons behind this story because it means a lot in our country. And thank you very much.